What's going on, everyone? It's time for another Christmas horror review. We're going to talk about Mercy Christmas, which just came out a few years ago. And this is a horror comedy about a guy who is invited to have Christmas dinner with his co-workers, his boss's family. And when he gets there, he quickly realizes that he's not there to have dinner, but to be dinner. They got a cannibal family and some sick family traditions. And yeah, it just goes off the rails pretty quickly. And let's get into what I like about this movie. The biggest positive is the main actor, Steven Hubbell, who plays Michael Briskett. I think he really carries the film. I think he's really good in the role, and I feel sorry for him. He's very sympathetic. He's lonely. He just wants to have a good Christmas, but unfortunately, he just can't seem to have one. And I did think that there was a decent amount of good, dark humor in the movie. It's very much like a black comedy. It's very dark and silly at times, and it works for the most part. It's got a good fast pace and a really short runtime. It's only an hour and 15 minutes, and also there's a good amount of Christmas lighting and atmosphere in it, so I really like that. And also, the final act gets very entertaining, very intense, very humorous, and it's the best part of the movie. And some of the dialogue really worked for me, like from the legless dude. I liked his character. I wasn't so crazy about him at first because of the performance, but I like that he's one of those characters that when he realizes he's fucked, he just starts hurling insults at the antagonists, making fun of them, trying to insult their mothers. Like, I liked his dialogue because I feel like that's something that I would do in that situation. Getting into my negatives, first little nitpick is I just don't understand why movies like to do this whole like opening towards the end trope. Although this one doesn't open towards the end, it opens in like the middle almost. Not really, but it just lets you know what's gonna happen. Like if you went in completely blind, now this opening shows you that when he gets there, more than likely something's gonna happen. I just feel like it spoils some stuff. I wish movies would stay away from the whole opening towards the end crap. So it's just I didn't like that opening. And there is unfortunately some really bad, too hammy performances in this movie, especially from the antagonist, like the main boss, Mr. Robillard or whatever the hell his name is. I just thought he was awful too much. Like I get it's a funny horror comedy, so you're supposed to maybe act this way, but it just wasn't working for me. It just came off a little too hammy, too weak, like too forced. I just was not digging some of the performances in here. And even from one of the victims, the bartender, I thought her performance was a tad weak as well. And for a movie about a cannibalistic family, this should be way more gory. They should be over the top with the gore, but they shy away from it, and that was a huge letdown. Especially when you get to the antagonist and you're like, you're in the final act and your main character's fighting back, you're expecting to see some cathartic, gory kills, but you don't really get that. So that just really put a stain on the film. If they would have just upped the gore and really fuck up these bad guys by the end, this would go up a whole point or two. So final thoughts, I think Stephen Hubbell not only carries Eddie, but also the film as well. I think he's good. And, it's short and sweet. Had potential to be better if they just would have went all out with the gore and had some better performances in here, but still a decent watch. Just it isn't going to blow your Christmas stockings off. So when it comes to Mercy Christmas, I recommend maybe just streaming this, borrowing it from a friend, or renting it at Redbox. All right, spoiler discussion. So we see a bunch of people getting abducted, and there's just a very quick, abrupt killing of this one chick at a bar. Came out of nowhere, really surprised me. But the main bartender, she hates Christmas. She's like the Grinch in this movie. She hates Christmas. And by the end of the movie, I'm sure she still hates it because of everything she goes through. And this ticket pusher guy on the streets, he gets kidnapped. This old guy in a chair, they're just kidnapping random people to eat them later on. And eggnog, I've never understood the appeal. Eggnog is disgusting. You're drinking eggs. It's ugh. Ugh. The boss Andrew, he is the brother of the hot secretary who invites the main character to this dinner, and I can see why he went, because you look at this secretary chick, anyone's gonna go. She is absolutely gorgeous. And so I like that his Secret Santa gift, which was like this extension cord slash multi outlet thing, I like how that comes into play later on. It's like the tool that's used against him. He's constantly being electrocuted with this extension cord thing. So he's being tortured throughout the whole film, electrocuted to do his boss's work, and if he doesn't do it, he's going to electrocute him. But he seems to be electrocuting him even as he's doing the work, so he's just a sadistic bastard. And, this one guy has a cop girlfriend, and this creates some tension in the family, and doesn't really go anywhere because the main characters, the good guys, kill her. So you thought the whole time that the crazy brother was going to kill his brother's cop girlfriend, but it's the main characters, the good guys, who end up killing her instead. But yeah, that was just a bit of a stretch. How do you find someone who's so quickly to accept your family's fucked up traditions? Like, she was on board with eating people, and the fact that they're like talking about sports when they're chopping up this guy's legs was pretty funny. And they go to church, so they act like they have morals and they're good Christians, but at the same time, they're chopping people up, kidnapping them, and eating them. So, hypocrites. And the legless guy, he just won't die. They keep going like, oh my gosh, you're still alive? And he has like both of his legs missing. And but why would they be surprised he's alive? Like, you cut off his leg and then you patched it up right away. They cauterized the wound to stop the bleeding. Of course he's still alive. I like that Michael and the bartender chick in the basement kind of have like this nice little moment together. It's a little cheesy. She tells like a bad reindeer joke. But it was a nice little moment between them. Doesn't slow down the film or anything, but I thought it was necessary, so I like that scene. And so then these carolers are there extremely late, or they're going to bed really early. So I love that in the final act. So, he breaks out and he does what most heroes in movies do. They go back in to save the girl, which is unrealistic because you would go to the cops, even though now you've seen that there's a cop who's dating someone in the family and is engaged to them. So it's like, we don't know who to trust, but you would go back. I mean, you would not go back. You would go to the cops, but the guy on his back, the guy with no legs, he at first is like, no, let's go. He's being smart. But then he's like, no, we're going back to save the girl. And then he's like, okay, let's go. Dude, I would have been like, no, untie me, get me off your back. You can go inside. I'm going to go crawl to help. But he's like, all right, fine, let's go save the girl. It's like, bullshit. That was out of character. I did not see him, going on board with him so quickly. Like, no, But I'm glad he went back inside because we get this funny brawl between them all where the guy in the back is on the with the iron is fighting off the one guy while Michael's fighting the other, and then you got this chick fight going on in the kitchen and she squeezes the girl's boob. You never see that in movies. When there's a chick fight, a girl squeezing the other girl's tit real hard. Like, I've never seen that before. I just thought that was really funny. And so he's like, sorry, not sorry. He keeps apologizing at first when he's killing them, but then he's like, no, I'm not sorry. Sorry, not sorry. And but these kills could have been way better. Like, they make it seem like he's bashing their skulls in, where it's just gonna be like a big old mess, like mush, like you won't even recognize their face. But when they cut back to their heads, it just looks like someone put ketchup on their face. Like, oh, I got some little bit of blood on my forehead. Like, no, they should have been fucked up. Like, he's beating their heads in with like a clothing iron, and the other guy's beating their heads in with like these metal rods or whatever the hell he has, like a fire poker. They should have been messed up. So that was just lame. And then the other guy, the one who's engaged to the cop, he gets stabbed in the stomach and dies instantly, and the knife looks like it's in him like an inch. So it's like, that wouldn't kill him. Bullshit. But I like that the other guy gets electrocuted, so there's karma. But then they have like CGI fire on his face that doesn't look good. But the makeup on his face afterwards, when he's just, burnt to a crisp, looking like Cropsy, he looks pretty good there. So the CGI fire I just did not like. But yeah, so you get some intense fights in the third act, which was pretty cool, and then they just leave. The end. But Legless, he dies, unfortunately. But yeah, they should have just upped the gore. This would have been a way better movie for it. I'm glad they didn't do this whole, like, the whole neighborhood was doing the same thing. I thought they were going to go there. when they're outside the house and the carolers come by. I thought they were going to reveal that the whole neighborhood was crazy and they were all cannibals on that street and maybe the cops were involved, but no. So I'm glad. All right. So that is the end of Mercy Christmas. What are your thoughts on this movie? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you like what you've seen here, you can hit this like button and become a subscriber today just by clicking my cartoon face in about 5 seconds. And remember, it's just an opinion. You don't need to get upset about it.